Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for taking the time out to be here today. I'm Karan Mulchandani, the founder of Enlightened Sapiens, and welcome to yet another Enlightened Weekend, where we hold sessions just like today on various topics from art and gardening and hiking, photography, name it, based on your passion, of course, to help you relax, unwind, but also for you to learn and learn something that you love or something that can help you find something that you love, right? And that is the essence of Enlightened Sapiens. We are a community that encourages each other to grow and learn with the things that we love so that when we are ready, we can give back with this knowledge, making it easier for someone else to do the same. And today we have a Vinita contractor who wishes to give back with her knowledge on plant-based nutrition and wellness in general. So a little bit about Vinita. She's a certified holistic nutritionist and lifestyle coach, and she's completed her courses in plant-based nutrition from New York, United States, as well as other courses in wellness culinary, nature cure, Ayurvedic diet, and so on. And I think she's the perfect person to help us understand what we're going to do today is understand plant-based diet. And in the last few years, as many of us may be aware, that there's a lot of awareness that is being generated on plant-based diet, veganism, and there's so many myths as well involved. So Vinita is going to take us through the absolute basics of it, just from a health perspective and the choices that we can make, as well as she's going to bust some myths, as well as give you some practical tips to get started. So it's going to be, of course, a beginner session. So you don't have to be practicing it. But you can ask your questions, like all our sessions are interactive. So use the chat box for any questions that you may have, as well as you can raise the hand when Vinita asks you to, so that you can interact with her and actually ask questions that you may have. So I'm excited for today's session. Hoping to begin very soon. And just a shout out to the Earthen One. They're a community of individuals who connected us with Vinita, and shout out to them for connecting us with her. They're trying to create a sustainable world with to help the animals, environment, as well as health. So thank you to them, and thank you, Vinita, and a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Karan. Very, very happy to be here this Saturday morning. Welcome everyone who's here, and looking forward to this interactive session, and I plan to keep it as interactive as possible. So let's get started. Anything before I begin, Karan, or should I continue?
Yeah, we can continue. All good. All set.
All right. So I'm going to start sharing screen. I don't particularly like having a PPT on at all times, because I think that's what people are kind of fed up of seeing all the time. So I'll keep switching on and off between the PPT and me. So this is the session you're here for today, which is a beginner's guide to a plant-based lifestyle. And like Karan said, I'm thankful to Enlightened Species, to the Earthen One, and this is my brand, and happy to collaborate for sessions like this, where I give a bird's eye view of something that I believe in and something professionally and personally. So these pointers, I'm sure everybody is familiar with, so I don't need to go through them, but something that I like is for people to keep their cameras on if they're comfortable. It just makes it a little more human. It's nice to see people at the other end. So I won't judge you if you're in your pajamas and you haven't combed your hair or you haven't brushed or whatever. Whatever may be your background, if you're comfortable, please keep your camera on. So this is, he's already told you, but this is my training. And this is what I do. I work with people on a one-on-one basis, coach them for things like disease prevention and reversal of lifestyle diseases, as well as for weight loss. I have a e-academy called the Leaf E-Academy, where you can learn how to make your own dairy-free alternatives, as well as ferment your own food. So I have 2 courses on my e-academy. Every month we have a juice cleanse, which is a do-it-yourself program. The next one is coming up soon. I'll tell you about later. And I also hold webinars and workshops such as this for individuals and corporates. So that's what I do. And in my personal life, I have 2 children. once 13 and almost 14, and I turned to a plant-based diet without really having an idea about what I needed it for. Karan, you're okay? Want to say that?
Yes, Vinita, I think your audio and video both are breaking.
Okay. Should I put on headphones? Would that help?
No, I think something maybe with your internet connection, the video is also lagging and the audio is breaking as well. Okay, we're going to wait till Vinita gets her internet sorted. That's pretty normal nowadays with the internet, so that's fine. So till then, maybe I can engage all of you till she joins us. So if you all have any questions for me, you'll have been for our sessions earlier. You can ask me, raise your hand, and let's keep a couple minutes till Vinita gets her internet sorted. So if you'll have any questions for me, you can put that in the chat box, raise your hand, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Or what is ES all about? SN. Okay. SN, the question is relevant. Thank you for asking. ES is Enlightened Sapiens, and like I mentioned at the start, we started a year ago, where we sort of are trying to help people understand themselves a little better. What happens is that people are always, thinking about work, and then they don't know about themselves, and they get caught up in that, where they don't really truly understand what makes them happy. So Enlightened Sapiens, thank you, Shalini, I'm answering that. So Enlightened Sapiens was born out of this idea of self-actualization, where we should understand what we love. Like, you see the plants around me, always I change it up. I know I love greens, and I know the color green gets me happy, and I know plants make me happy, and I know mountains make me happy. So these are things that I've understood about myself. So we're trying to tie up with people like Mount Everest summiteers, people who are really, really passionate, as well as very, very skilled and experts in their fields, to inspire all of you to understand what you all love. And in school also we learn about maths, geography, and that's great. I love maths myself. I love history myself. But we don't truly learn about things that make us, and that's what we're trying to do in different fields, like from gardening and mountains and art. We teach you how to draw, and everything is done from the medium of your home right now due to the pandemic, and everything, nothing you need to go out and buy. So that's what Enlightened Sapiens is about, to make each one of us gain that knowledge, and then when we are ready, like Vinita, give back with that knowledge, so that we can inspire other people, and trying to create a sustainable, collaborative society where we wish to see each other grow, right? It'll make us happy to see you grow. It's not about me, it's about each one of us. And that's what Enlightened Sapiens is about. We are a social enterprise trying to do social change for the positive. So Vinita's back. So, yes.
Yeah, I'm back.
Super.
I'm waiting for screen share to be given.
Okay.
Is my audio any better?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as luck would have it, the modem is not working, so I'm using a dongle. Yeah, this is the slide I was on. Should I continue? Karan, I'm going to look at your face. Whenever I see a disturbance on your face, I'll know something is not okay. All right. So I was saying that I turned to a plant-based lifestyle with no particular health issue as such. I would call myself more of an ethical vegan who did it for the animals and the environment. That's very close to my heart. But the health benefits that I got were so much that I decided to train myself so that I could first implement it for myself and my family. And then when I reached a point where I felt I could share it, that's when I started doing it professionally. So this is me a few years ago, and my kids are now much older. So these are old pictures. So just to get an idea before we get started with the actual session, it would be great to know where you're at right now. And someone from the team of Enlightened Sapiens is going to run a quick poll. So the question that I want everyone to answer is, how familiar are you with a plant-based diet? It's so good to see responses live. And how aware are you of its health benefits? You could just vote. More than 50% have already voted.
Awesome. I think we've got 80%, 85%, 90% of the votes.
Yes.
You like me to share the results?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, guys. You all are prompt as always.
Hello. Yeah. So it's great that there's a lot of somewhat and somehow aware. So that's great, because then I hope this session will give you what you're curious topic and that's the agenda. What's a plant-based diet? How is it different from a vegan lifestyle? What are the primary reasons people choose a plant-based lifestyle? Then I'll be busting some myths, sharing some health benefits, and 5 practical steps that you can take. And then I'll take question and answers regarding those steps, so that those of you who feel like they want to give it a shot, they know how to actually begin. So what is a plant-based diet? Obviously, from the word plant, you would know it's to do with using a lot of plants. So fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, healthy fats. So primarily, the simple way to understand is plant-based means mostly from plants. Okay, I'm not going to do a pop quiz and make sure you get the definition right, because that's not the point. So if you look at it, it's fruit, vegetables, legumes, grains, nuts, and seeds. Now, obviously, I would recommend always using local seasonal produce, which is from our region. Some of these are not local and regional, but this is just to give you a broad idea what comes under plant-based diet. So looking at this, I would love to hear which items you can clearly see are not a part of plant-based diet. The obvious ones I know you would get, but can you tell me what you think does not come under plant-based diet? I'll look for your answers in the chat. Poultry. Perfect. You can keep them coming. Honey. Non-vegetarian food, milk, honey. Yes. I'm surprised people got honey on the first go. Sambar. You mean the deer? Or the sambar which you eat with idli? Okay, great. So I don't know this audience well, so I'm not sure whether someone's joking, but there is dosa also, and there is sambar as well. So good. I'm glad people have answered, and most of you have got it right. Let me further clarify. So just because something is from a plant, it doesn't mean it's healthy. So for example, God gave us potatoes. He didn't give us potato chips. Okay. He gave us sugar cane, not refined sugar. So technically plant-based is anything which comes from plants, but you could also use things made in a plant, right? So like refined stuff, processed stuff, technically is plant-based. Okay, so hydrogenated oils, refined flour are technically plant-based, but doesn't make them healthy. So I'll take the person who's raising the hand after I've covered this slide. Yeah. So plant-based, let's look at the middle one. Plant-based means eats fruits, nuts, legumes, all the categories that I spoke of. May consume a little bit of meat, seafood, eggs, and dairy as well, because they are primarily plant-based, mostly plant-based. They would still consume processed foods, flours, etc. And they may also include things which are made from animal from an animal, so leather, etc., silk could still be used by people who are plant-based. WFPB, anyone with a clue with that, what that is? Somebody other than the other one has to answer this. Let me see, there's a reply. Whole food plant-based? Yes, Drupad, you're right. Whole food plant-based, perfect. So what it means is that they will eat the first category of nuts, seeds, legumes, vegetables, whole grains. They may also consume a little bit of meat, dairy, eggs, but no processed food. And they may continue to use products from animals. Now, a vegan is someone, you have to look at vegan as somebody who's taken a stand. So they will not consume any dairy or poultry or all of that. They may still continue to consume processed food, but it's a lifestyle. So they will not use things which have an animal, as a resource, so to speak. So not only will they not consume honey, silk, leather, they will also avoid as much as possible to do things which involve exploitation or interfering with animals too much. So for example, going to a zoo, going to a circus, funding or helping an NGO who's purely, maybe not an NGO, maybe buying products from a company which is heavily using animals. Those are the kind of things a vegan would do. So this is just to give you an idea that just because someone says they are plant-based doesn't mean that they would do it from an ethical point of view. So they may still consume those items. And the idea is not to make you more confused. The idea is to understand that there are layers to it, and one can choose whatever they feel most drawn to. So if we had a poll even right now amongst vegans, this is typically what you would see. Or people who are plant-based, this is what you would see. Most people do it for the animals. Second category is for health. Third category is for the environment. And fourth is could be just a personal preference. Yeah. So again, you don't have to do 100%. Even if we want to explore, the best way would be to consume more of the plant-based foods and see how that goes. And as I go through this session, you will also understand the health benefits, because that's what I'm primarily going to focus on. And okay, before I ask debunk some myths, I'd like to hear from you. Somebody had raised a hand as well. Is it still there that I can ask the person to speak?
Yeah, sure. You'd like to speak, Jinia? You can
Yes.
Unmute yourself, as well as some questions on the chat if you like. We can.
Yes.
Take them. Would you like to ask a question? Yeah, until she asked, there are a couple of questions on the chat, and if anyone else wants to ask, you can use the chat box as well as the raise hand button. So SN as well as Rishabh had the same question: is how can meat be whole food? I thought WFPB is no meat, no dairy, no oil diet.
Correct. So that's a more technical term which is used by a couple of very famous doctors who use that to help people, reverse lifestyle diseases based on that. But if you see whole food plant-based, so something which is whole is the focus. So meat can be a whole food if it's not a processed, like for example, and not that I like eating these things or I want to encourage you, but for example, like sausages are a processed food. The actual meat is a whole food in that sense. Okay. What else would be like hot dogs or something like that would be a processed food. So meat in its sense, in itself is a whole food, and whole food plant-based doesn't mean you eat meat like how a meat eater eats it. It's more sporadic. It's not the crux of the program at all. If you see in the chart also, let me go back to it. The main thing is eating plants. Yeah. It's written like minimal. Its arrow is downwards for a whole food plant-based. Mainly it's fruits, nuts, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains. But the way we understand it in India, whole food means completely plant-based. So it doesn't really matter. As I said, this is not a quiz. The main difference was to understand what is plant-based and vegan. Vegan is someone from an ethical standpoint will not consume any animal-based foods and not use and not indulge in activities which involve exploitation of animals. And someone who's plant-based may also not eat animal-based foods, but they could sometimes, and they would still use animal-based foods, products, for example. Any other questions? There was something about mushrooms. Manasvi, it is a whole food. Maybe I don't know the process of how the sausages are made at home. How different is the workshop from the concepts given by Sattvic movement? A lot of things would be similar, but let's see at the end of it what you have to say about it. Mushrooms are considered plant-based. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. So the myths, yeah, I was asking people if they want to share what myths they have or might have heard in terms of people who are vegan or plant-based. Plant foods are protein deficient. Okay. No protein, yes. Any other ones that you've heard? You lose weight, okay. Any more myths that you've heard? Is expensive, vitamin deficiency. Great. Great to know, gets monotonous. Okay. B12, D. Not enough nutrients for exercise recovery. Great. So I think that I'm at a good place to debunk most of them. Okay. So before I even go on to the slide, let me just clarify about B12 and D3. Okay. I see clients on a regular basis. Many of them are non-vegetarians and they are wanting to move more towards plant-based foods. You'll be surprised to know across the board, I would say 9 out of 10 people, whether they are following a plant-based diet or a non-vegetarian diet, are deficient in B12 and D3. The reason for that is really hard to put a finger on. I sometimes even wonder, if there's some sort of conspiracy theory as to why the lab reports are all coming skewed like that. But the interesting thing is that people do have the signs of deficiencies of those vitamins. And when we supplement them, there is a difference in those symptoms. The symptoms reduce. So I wouldn't agree that it's only for vegans. I think the current lifestyle that we lead and the, everything being, sprayed with pesticides, a lot of the mobile radiations that we are surrounded with does affect the quality of our food, and we don't spend enough time in nature and in sunlight. Both these are contributing factors. So this one point is definitely not to do exclusively with being vegan or being plant-based. Now the other ones, many of you have covered. It's expensive to be on a plant-based diet. There are two reasons why that is believed. One is vegan alternatives are expensive for sure. So if you buy, for example, plant-based cheese or you buy plant-based milk from the market, it works out more expensive. But if you make them yourself, they are not. Secondly, I always tell people that you don't need to replace a glass of cow's milk with a plant-based milk. When you understand what you're using those things for, it's very easy to substitute without going cheese to cheese, milk to milk. If you're looking at protein sources, we address that. You're looking at calcium sources, we look at that. We don't really have to replace everything. Secondly, I've always said this, that a vada pav costs less than real food. Junk food is always cheap. Healthy, real food is always more expensive. So if you are plant-based but eating junk food, you will still be able to go by without spending a big differential. But overall, if you want to improve your health and eat cleaner food, to that extent, you'll be paying more for your food, but you'll pay less for doctor bills and less for supplements. Because if you eat a well-balanced diet, other than B12 and D3, you don't necessarily have to supplement. In fact, now people are over supplementing and people don't realize how much they spend on that. and how much they spend on eating out, and how much they spend on, tests and doctor bills. You can't get enough protein on a plant-based diet. Now, there is some truth to this if it's not a well planned plant-based diet, because we understand that a piece of meat this size, the protein that you get from it, you'll need to eat a lot more beans to get that kind of protein. Having said that, it requires just a little bit of involvement, a little bit of understanding, and then you will find that you can easily manage a good, wholesome diet without taking protein shakes and protein supplements. And what many people tend to do is overhype the need of protein without taking into account the three important things: how old you are, what is your activity level, yeah, and what is the third point? One is how old you are, what gender you are. It matters, when you're younger, when you're older, the protein requirements are different, and most of us are not doing enough. And if you're someone who trains heavy, you can plan a well balanced plant-based diet. You're not strong enough, you can't train heavy, that's what is believed. Well, I personally know Ironmen and people who have scaled Mount Everest on a plant-based diet, in fact a vegan diet, so much more strict in that sense. And it gets monotonous is what I saw in the comments. So I can't becoming foodies after that, because they get so involved in trying to try out different things, etc., that their food becomes lot more varied. We don't eat just salads. In fact, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see the kind of stuff that we eat at home. And I have, most of my friends are non-vegan, and when they come home, they always say, oh my god, if you're going to feed us food like this, or if someone could make us food like this, we would happily turn plant-based. So it is not monotonous. And the other thing is, I've had people ask me, can you eat roti, can you eat dal rice? Like, they're not sure what I eat, So you don't have to give up gluten unless your condition requires you to, like you have some major intolerances. Even sugar, maida, etc., are about how clean you want to get. It's not a mandate that if you want to be plant-based, you have to give up gluten and you have to give up sugar or you have to give up oil. You can decide that based on your health goals and what your focus area is. Any more myths that I can cover? I've covered the top 5 that I come across in my experience professionally and personally. Let me see what's in the chat box. Yeah, so for omega-3, for zinc, it really depends on what people are eating. Otherwise, people have gotten a lot more aware after COVID about omega and about zinc. It's a good idea to get a complete blood profile done before you can assess whether you need supplementation. And like I said, I think in general, as a generation, we have become more rich in calories and not rich in nutrients. We are making sure we are full, but the food doesn't always is not always the most nutritious. So I wouldn't say this is exclusively to do with veganism. And so the source of honey is plant-based, but if you should read up a little bit of how the honeybees make the honey. It's something that they actually produce from within. They take the raw material from the flowers, and then they work on it, and then they kind of spit it out in a sense, and it's food for them for the seasons when they can't have food. And also a lot of bees die while honey is extracted, so that's why it is though sourced from a plant, it doesn't come under a vegan diet. Calcium deficiency, if you eat what I'm going to tell you to eat, you will not have a calcium deficiency. How is vegan versus organic? So it's not, if you do a Venn diagram, it wouldn't be like it has to cross. It would be good if you're organic in any case, but not like a must if you're wanting to just attempt being plant-based or being vegan. It's always better. Is plant-based diet different from vegetarianism? So again, in India, we've got too many brackets of vegetarianism. If you're a pure vegetarian, then maybe even plant-based is not. because in plant-based you can still occasionally probably have animal-based foods. So guys, I just want to say, let's not get so worried about the definitions. This is just to kind of give you the finer nuances. You don't really need to fall into any category. Just go with what you feel like trying. I think I'll continue. There are lots of questions, but I'll take them towards the end. Yeah. So let's go over the benefits of a plant-based diet. These are the general ones. You can read them up and I'll go into details. Now, the specific ones which I want to get into, which I have professional experience with also, is it's very easy to actually reverse diabetes and definitely reduce the levels. You can reverse high cholesterol and you can reverse blood pressure, high blood pressure. Very simple to do on a plant-based diet. Now, in addition to the serious stuff, you get great skin, reduction in breakouts and acne. When I started out, I was having hormonal issues and I was getting these really like big pussy acne along my jawline, and that's supposed to be a telltale sign of hormonal imbalances. And I started off on a plant-based diet, and within a month my skin was completely transformed. You also have great hair and regrowth. There will be people who also say that they might lose hair on a plant-based diet. That's if someone is a very heavy meat or dairy consumer and you overnight go cold turkey, that can happen where you start losing hair. Also, if you don't take into account a lot of the little things like the omega-3s, the calcium through food, that can be a side effect, but that's to do with not probably being aware and not planning better. Otherwise, overall, it's great for hair and a regrowth of hair. These are some of the foods that you can consume. Some of them are not Indian, I'm aware, but this was just a indicative picture. Someone had also mentioned results in weight loss. Usually it results in healthy weight loss, the kind you should be losing, but you've not been able to. But again, if it's not planned well and you just do it yourself, you could fall short of essential nutrients, and that could lead to not great weight loss. But usually, if you go with a professional to work with you, you will have good levels of weight loss and pretty quickly. But again, I don't recommend crazy amount of weight loss because that's not sustainable and that's not healthy either. People, women with PCOS issues, it definitely improves conditions and at times reverses also. In my personal experience, I've had two clients who I remember one very distinctly from August last year to March this year, and she was not even 30. She was not getting her periods, and she started on a plant-based program with me, and she finally got her periods after whatever number of 8-9 months. So it works, but the way I can say it with confidence with diabetes, blood pressure and cholesterol, things like PCOS and thyroid take longer and you can't always reverse. The levels will definitely improve. Even for thyroid, levels definitely improve and at times can get reversed as well. So these are the common things people are dealing with right now, which is why I thought I'll highlight them. And overall, are these are the benefits. So reversal of lifestyle diseases and greatly improving the possibility of improving autoimmune conditions and other complex issues definitely takes place, and it's definitely great for great health because gut health, because of the increased fiber that we are eating through fruits and vegetables, nuts, whole grains, etc. Now I'm presuming when we are talking about all this, it's about the healthy version of the plant-based diet, yeah, where the processed stuff is minimized. This is typically what the food chart would look like. The base being fruits and vegetables. Next would be whole grains. Next would be leafy greens and legumes, dals, pulses, seeds, and then the high fat whole foods. I'm not a big promoter of avocado, if unless you're in a region which naturally grows avocado, because it's important to eat local stuff. Our good old coconut, peanuts are great, and whichever nuts you can find easily. So which is why local, seasonal, organic as far as possible, and sustainable. You don't need to buy superfoods. You don't need to buy fancy stuff. The impression of being expensive is also because you see influencers posting stuff which is definitely not, our native food. Like you eat normal, like for example, nowadays we've started going to a place which we've been developing for a few years now, and when I eat the local food, it's usually a matki, which is a sprouted matki, bhakri, sabzi of a leafy green. And if I carry some salad stuff, then maybe we eat that. Our simple dal, chawal, roti, sabzi is plant based. The only thing that changes if we add little ghee, or if we add maybe paneer or something to the food. Other than that, it is plant based. So it's not always having those avocado toasts and quinoa this and smoothie bowls and all the pretty things that we see. A regular food, if you eat as per the season and if you eat as per what is locally available, it can be very nutritious and not expensive. It's when you want the mozzarella cheese in a vegan way, then it becomes expensive. And there are simple recipes which I have on my course, which you can do without spending that much. So I'm now coming to the steps that one has to follow. If you see, it's a whole plate of simple food rather than packaged food. Consume more actual fruits, vegetables, smoothies, and not even the homemade variety of fried plant-based food. If you have to make a choice. And I love this picture because what attracts us are the colors, and how the marketeers package food to attract us with the same colors that we find attractive in nature. And to just watch out for that, just be aware. I mean, at the end of this session, even if you make a few changes to improve your existing level of health, I think it will be a session well spent for you and me. So the first practical step, eat more fruits and veggies. As simple as that. Just have more of them. Whatever you're having, increase the quantity. And in the Q&A, I'll take details of your questions. I'll just go over the points because I don't want to be running out of time. Step 2 is have more whole foods. So more of brown rice, more of dalia, more of the grains basically. And for an example, for a sweetener, try and use more of the dried fruits like raisins, dates, etc., rather than all these. So though I'm saying cross, I'm not saying never have them, reduce them. The third step would be reduce animal-based and processed foods. So your tea, coffee, colas, packaged food, all come under processed foods. I know tea and coffee is a very touchy topic. Most people love their cup of tea and coffee. Use them people don't about caffeine, about the fact that they're acidic. Yes, Karan.
Yeah, I think your voice is breaking for the last 10 seconds.
Okay.
You can just repeat it.
Yeah,
just repeat. It's fine now.
Yeah. I was saying that tea and coffee is a very sensitive topic. Most people will not want to give that up. But what I was saying is that it actually interferes with absorption of important nutrients when we consume tea and coffee, in addition to being acidic and lots of other things. So I'm not even going to get into that. I'm just saying reduce. Because with the chai comes the shakkar. If not the shakkar, then you'll have the sugar free or the stevia, and then with that will be the farsan or the samosa or the biscuit or whatever. So it's like you knock the main thing off, then the other stuff also reduces, even if you reduce your quantity of the number of times you consume it in a day. Now have a green smoothie every day. That's my magic mantra. I do this every single day, and I will tell you how to make it in a bit. That's your fourth step. It's a combination of fruits and green leafies, not vegetables. No nut butters, no nuts, just simple fruits and greens like spinach, amaranth, beetroot greens. You don't need to buy kale, etc. Though the picture shows kale, just simple, available, easily available greens. And even if you're on a great diet, your lifestyle needs to also match it. So the fifth step would be incorporate exercise and movement and activity. So either we are sitting all day or we exercise for an hour and we sit all day, right? So it's that inactivity which is creating the problem, in addition to lack of exercise for those people who aren't. And if you're already someone who's exercising, maybe try and get more active through the day. So those were the 5 steps. Someone from the team can share the next question that we had planned for this time.
I think we already covered that with the vegan and plant-based.
How
So,
curious, how inclined are you, that one?
yeah, so we can just use the chat box.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. So what I had planned for this time was, how inclined are you? Again, no one's going to come and check if you're doing it. This is just for me to see whether this session had any impact on you. How inclined are you to give it a shot, give it a try? You can choose one of the 3 options. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Maybe. You could just type those, and I'll quickly have to run through the chat because there's lots of stuff which I have to still go through. Karan, please help me with the responses because I'm going over the questions. I'm just going through the questions. You tell me what the poll says.
The poll is basically, a lot of people are saying yes I am, yes I am, I'm already on it for a year. Many people are saying maybe, maybe, maybe. So it's a mix between yes I am and maybe.
Okay.
I would say two-thirds yes I am, one-third maybe. We've not got to know yet.
Okay, that's great. I think overall, I mean, couldn't have asked for more. And the idea was it's a very short period to really, give out too much information. So just before I finish, the juice cleanse that I was mentioning is going to happen next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you want more details about it, sorry, this is my office number. If you could either take a screenshot or save the number. And it would be great if you followed me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, because you'll keep getting a lot of tips, videos, information, which will help you make the small changes when you're ready and maybe nudge you in the right direction. Now, about the smoothie recipe, which I highly recommend you start trying. And what I would love is when you actually make the smoothie, tag me and share a picture when you do make it. So if you message the office number, they will send you a link of the YouTube video on how to make a green smoothie and also send you a complete recipe, detailed recipe. So make a note of that number, 99874 31913. I'm going to move now to the Q&A. And Karan, should I go ahead with that? What are the 5 tips? I missed one. Okay, let's go over it quickly. So it'll be like a nice recap. Yeah. First one was eat more fruits and vegetables. Eat whole foods. That's the second tip. Third one was reduce animal-based foods and processed foods. Have a green smoothie every day. And incorporate exercise and movement every day. I'm just typing one number. I hope I've got it right. I'm bad at my own number. 1 minute. Nine 99874 31913. Yeah, I put the number for everybody, whoever wants it. This is my work number, office number. Okay, I'll start with the questions.
Okay.
already benefited from the whole food plant-based diet. That's what Godavari says. That's great. So I read people mentioning that is the fiber that makes a difference, because animal-based foods do not have fiber. And that's something I didn't know. Even though I used to eat healthy and I used to consume non-vegetarian food, I didn't know that animal foods did not have fiber. So if that's something that you've learned today, then please understand how the body behaves when we eat a lot of non-vegetarian food which does not contain enough fiber. So oil or no oil is something that really depends on what stage you're at in your health journey. Some people believe it's better to be zero oil depending on your health conditions. Some people feel a minimal amount of oil will also not be a problem. So without getting into individual histories, I won't be able to tell you. You could, if at all you want to transition and reduce your oil usage, move to at least cold pressed oil, and groundnut, sesame are better than maybe, rice bran or olive oil or whatever, just to keep it simple and local and minimally processed. Cold pressed is better. If you have green tea with herbs, that's great. You can even reduce the green tea and add more of the herbs or spices, because green tea also contains caffeine and it is pretty acidic when you have it first thing in the morning. So maybe at least move the time when you have the green smoothie to a time when you've eaten something and then have the green tea. So as I said, tea and coffee is going to be a big one. Tea and coffee technically are plant-based, but not the best from a health point of view. So just reduce. That there are more than 5 in the world right now being used. If you're listening, anybody who's doing.
Hey Vinita, I think your audio and video is spotty. So let's do one thing. For those of you who have any questions, you can use the raise hand button, and we can ask you any questions that you have, and we can answer them right now. Because the whole idea is that when we base, like Vinita has been trying to mention, it's a spectrum, right? There is no hard and fast. We try to define labels of veganism, plant based, whole food, plant based, but it's a spectrum that each one of us are on, and what choices that we need to make based on our current mindset, as well as certain issues that we may be having. So if you have any questions, of course, she may require history, but if you have any myths, any doubts, more than happy. Vinita, there's a lot of people are asking, which is sort of what we were going to post anyways, is that you mentioned the green smoothie, right? So if you can give, I make a green smoothie in the mornings myself. So if you can give like a recipe so that, they can try it out, like we said, and sort of share their version of their green smoothie on our social. It'll be nice.
It'll be great. So I think it will be great if you can tag Enlightened Species, on one, and me whenever you make it. And that's why it's a little detailed, the recipe, which is why the video and the snapshot, the creative, we will send across whenever people message. But there are a few things I would like to address, which I see in the chat box, which I think are important. Millets are good to have just for people who have thyroid, etc. You need to be careful of how often you consume them. Does dairy cause hormonal imbalances in females? Yes, if if you're a very heavy user of dairy, definitely. All my PCOS clients have benefited when they have dropped dairy or reduced it drastically. Soy-based foods cause imbalance in hormones. Again, if you overdo them. If you consume once or twice in a week something made out of non-GMO soy, it's fine. It's when we start eating processed foods of soy, like the mock meat which is made out of it, or other, chop, etc., too often, then it's a problem. Millets have calcium, might cause hormonal. That's why I said moderation is key, whether it's millets, whether it's soy. So people say, have millets, reject rice and wheat. I don't think there's any need to reject anything. I think it's important to expand our understanding of what is whole grain and include different varieties of local grains. Wheat needs to be cut off only for people who are advised to, not on self diagnosis. And it's of course better to consume heirloom varieties of wheat, the native varieties. Okay. Um, Algae is vegetarian or vegan. So algae technically is just a plant growing under in the water. So it's vegetarian and vegan. If anyone wants to speak, I'm happy to take. If you have juvenile diabetes, I'm happy to work with anyone who wants to work with me. The younger you are, the body anyway helps you recover faster. When junk and processed foods are cut down, diabetes can be reversed. Yes, but a lot of other things also. Can you switch to a plant-based diet at once, or should we start slowly? Always start slowly. Don't jolt your system into a lot of changes overnight. That will reduce all the hair falling and sudden change of energy levels. And how slow depends on where you are right now. How much you consume right now, how clean you eat right now. Okay, this is great. I don't think I can answer everything. I'm happy to. So my office number, like I said, you can DM me even later after the session. Packaged foods. Okay, so let me quickly give you the recipe the way I can right now. You can just jot it down, and for the detailed one, you can get it from the office number. So greens, first category is greens, leafy greens, not dudi, not kakdi, not broccoli, only leafy greens. Second category are fruits. If you're a diabetic, please mention on my office number that you're a diabetic. You'll get a different version of the smoothie. So second category is fruits. Third is just the water component or the liquid component, which could be water or coconut water. And the fourth could be like a enhancer, either from flavor point of view or from it has a benefit. So if you're doing greens, it's always good to use a little bit of lime or like a small piece of amla whenever you can. So the vitamin C helps better absorption, helps with the better absorption of the greens. And in addition, like things like say ginger or maybe little cinnamon, maybe little moringa, whatever you have at home, which is clean, not a protein powder and not a nut butter. Keep it simple. Can be added as an enhancer. Yeah, so that's your basic smoothie recipe. Now quickly I'm going to scroll down and see if I can take any more questions before we end, because I've been told by Karan 11:55, so I've got 2 minutes left.
No, nothing of that sort. we just respect time here to start and end.
Absolutely.
So, but no worries. I think there are a couple of questions by Prajakta. What can we eat after exercise?
So this at one time there was this whole thing that you have to have protein after you exercise. Okay, and now that myth is debunked, that as long as you are consuming protein rich foods through the day, you will get that benefit. So it really depends what time you're exercising, but it would be good nuts, maybe nut butters. Nut butters made at home are really simple. So that's there on my dairy alternatives course, but you can find many videos on YouTube as well. Just some food, eat anything post a workout separately. And if you could help me with some must addressed questions before we close, because
sure. Again, if anyone still wants to interact with
I'm happy to have people speak rather than type.
Let's see what else we have. I think a lot to do with protein, like we mentioned. So I think you said nuts is something good that we can eat, right?
Yes,
post our workouts and for protein. Let's see. Okay,
this is an interesting one, which says more fruits means high in fructose, so the liver will get loaded. So let's understand the liver has to deal with all the toxins that come into our body. So if you don't consume fruits, you're more likely to crave for sweet, and you're probably going to want more of foods which contain refined sugar. And in a smoothie, because of the green leaves that you add, it doesn't spike up your sugar so much. And it's healthy. Nobody will dispute that having 2 servings of fruit in a day is good for us. Overdoing it needs to be questioned.
Absolutely. Awesome. I think we've answered all questions, Vinita, and I'm going to take you all through some stuff where how you all can, like Vinita said, she's given some smoothie recipes. I'm going to take you all through that, but just hold on a second and share my screen. So yeah, like we said, we've already got Vinita's Insta handle through the previous slide that she had. So I've also added the other ones here if in case you'll require, as well as you'll know where we are. We are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. This session will be on YouTube. So in case you want to revise or revert to something, you can go back to our YouTube channel. The details will be on the chat box, and y'all can definitely go through it again in case y'all want to see something again, or you want to share this with someone who you think will benefit from it. We are on Facebook as a group, ES Fitness Community. We're always trying to engage our community through different platforms. Stay tuned for something on Clubhouse as well. And yeah, we have a lot of upcoming sessions like today. The next one is by celebrity master chef Kaviraj. He's teaching us fusion cooking and mango recipes. Mango season's not over, so something with fruits next week on Sunday at 11 a.m. as well as very, very fun session on palm weaving. So these leaves behind, we're going to make some fun gifts and stuff which you can gift a loved one using just leaves. So do join in on that. You can register using our Instagram handle. Just go there and click on the link, and it's all free, so you can register. And like we've always said, our sessions are free. And like I said in the start, that's what our core is that we want to empower each one of you to pick up a skill, pick up a hobby, pick up something that makes you happy. And in case you want to give back, you're more than welcome to reach out to us, and we'll let you know how you all can do that. So do reach out if you all have any form of passion, if you all want to help out and be part of the community. So thank you, of course, Vinita, for this beautiful session. And for those of you who, Vinita mentioned a green smoothie recipe. Right now, it's very simple. Like she said, you can reach out to that number. But what I do simply is, take those greens, like she said, take those fruits, put some cinnamon, put anything that I have in the kitchen. But the idea is to put those greens. The color needs to be green. And you're going to get some leaves inside that. So it's not that complicated. The idea is to include more plants and leaves. I do garden them. I still don't feel bad to have them. So it's part of every gardener's or any botanist is to consume its fruits. So have a clean diet. Have to include more fruits and vegetables in your diet. And yeah, hopefully I see you all very, very soon. So thank you, Vinita, and thank you all of you for being here.
Welcome. I just want to give one closing tip before everybody leaves. Is when you make your green smoothie, make sure you do not repeat the same green more than twice in a week. So though spinach tastes really yum in most of the smoothies, make sure you don't only have spinach or only one particular leaf. There can be an oxalate buildup which can interfere with the absorption of the iron. So just switch the greens every 2 days.
Awesome. Thank you. So we're going to put up a post. You all can share your smoothies with us and tag us, and we love to have that. So thank you once again, and see you all very, very soon.
Thank you.